Hello and welcome to a brand new video on the channel. This video is about the C Class British Columbia ferries. There is 5 of them in the fleet. They were all built in the 1970s and we'll be going over every single one of them. Sit back, relax, and enjoy. Our first vessel is the Queen of Coquitlam. The Queen of Coquitlam was built in 1976. It has an overall length of 139 meters. It has 316 car capacity, and its maximum speed is 20.5 knots. The Queen of Coquitlam is similar to the Queen of Cowichan, as it was built in 1976. They are both of a similar size and age. They both have similar car capacities and amenities on board. Now, all 5 of these ferries are considered RO-RO ferries, so roll on, roll off, which means that they work from both ends and have bridges, aka the driver can sit at either end of the boat at all times. The funnel is pretty much dead center on the Queen of Coquitlam. It is a classic ferry funnel with no dents or anything in between. This ferry operates currently and mostly on the Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay route. However, in the summer and busy peak times, it operates alongside the Queen of Surrey on the Horseshoe Bay to the Sunshine Coast route. It is well known for being a reliable vessel. However, like all C classes, it has had its faults. They all went through refits in the early 2000s. They're midlife refits, and this ferry is expected to last until about 2030 at current date. However, the government keeps pushing that back, so we'll see when that actually happens. Now it's time for the Queen of Surrey. The Queen of Surrey is a vessel that normally operates on the Horseshoe Bay to Langdale route, aka the Horseshoe Bay to Sunshine Coast. It is well known, again, for being a reliable vessel. This one is a lot more similar to the Queen of Oak Bay. They're technically all the same ferry, but this one is more similar to the Queen of Oak Bay in the fact that it is that type of ferry. Built in 1981, it has an overall length of 130 meters, 311 car capacity, and it has the same max speed, 20.5 knots. It does the quick hop over to the Sunshine Coast most of its life. Recent life, we should say. However, that can be changed, as this is still C-Class vessel, and it can be changed to any route where a C-Class vessel is normally operating. C-Class vessels normally operate on Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay, Duke Point to Tawasin, and Langdale to Horseshoe Bay. However, they can operate in some other routes, including, but not limited to, some of the southern Gulf Island routes, and even farther up north, including Powell River. The Queen of Surrey has been refitted again in the early 2000s, and it has many onboard amenities, including the Coastal Cafe and the Passages Gift Shop. This ferry is a great one, has lots of amenities and features that many of the ferries don't have. Now, we will move on to the Queen of Oak Bay herself, who I found a lovely old picture of. This is before BC Ferries was a private company, and this is still in the hands of the BC government. The Queen of Oak Bay was built in 1981. It has an overall length of 139 meters, total car capacity of 311, and again, a top speed of 20.5 knots. The ferry itself normally operates on the Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay route. However, that can be changed and has operated on the Sunshine Coast connector, and it's also operated, I believe, a couple of times. Mistake me if I'm wrong in the comments below, but I believe it's also operated technically on the Tawasin to Duke Point, and the weird little connector route that they used to do before Duke Point was a thing. This one was definitely on there. Tawasin to Horseshoe Bay. It has all the same great amenities on board, as you can see on the video you're watching right now, the Passages Gift Shop. The video you're watching right now is the Queen of Cowichan, but it is a older version of the Queen of Cowichan before some of the more modern refits, including the widening of the stairs. All 5 of the C Class ferries have had major refits done, especially in the last 10 years. Normally, one of these ferries is out of service. At the current time of speaking, none of the ferries are out of service, but that is all subject to change. It is currently the 1st of June, 2023, if anyone is wondering if you're watching in the future. This ferry is, overall, a great vessel. The Queen of Oak Bay is one I've traveled on a lot. My main route I take is the Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay route, so I'm very familiar with the C Class, and they are my favorite ferry vessels on the fleet. The Horseshoe Bay to Departure Bay route is an odd one. There's a lot of twists and turns, speed changes, stuff like that, and you have to navigate a busy waterway all the same. We will now be moving on to the first odd ferry, the Queen of Alberni. The Queen of Alberni was built in 1976 alongside the Queen of Coquitlam and the Queen of Cowichan. Similar time frame, has 139 meter length, but this one only has 280 for its car capacity. The reason it only has 280 is because this ferry originally was built with one car deck, and it was a very large car deck on the bottom. This was the primary trucker ferry, or cargo ferry as we'd call it nowadays, for the fleet. It would have served originally to Wasson to Horseshoe Bay. Currently, and for a long time, it has served to Wasson to Duke Point alongside the Coastal Inspiration for the last, I guess that would be 14 years now, 15 years for the Coastal Inspiration. This used to do that route alone, which was not enough car capacity or truck capacity. Later on in its life, and we will get some more details in a future video. I'll do a video about the Queen of Alberni, its entire history, and why they added and how they added the second car deck. Later on, however, I believe it was in the 1990s, they added, or the late 1980s, they added the second car deck, which is a similar second car deck to the one that you would see on any other C-Class vessel. However, it's a little bit shorter, and it is really only meant for cars, maybe minivans, not cargo at all. It is much shorter in height than the others, and you will notice some differences between that, especially if you've just been on one of the C-Classes. I know that we went
Take a good look
to Wasson to Duke Point for one time. We went over to the island, and we were on the Queen of Alberni, and I'm like, oh, this, it's a normal looking ferry, and then we came back on the Queen of Oak Bay, and you could instantly tell, because we had reservations, we were up on the deck 4, the top vehicle deck, that this ferry was a little bit shorter and a little bit smaller, but it still has the same amenities as the other ferries. Now, it has a little bit of a different life-saving equipment because it doesn't carry as many passengers. It doesn't need the, essentially like cruise ship style. So it has, they're all located, all life vests are located on the main passenger deck. Now we move on to my favorite ferry in the C-Class and of the entire BC Ferries fleet, the Queen of Cowichan. The Queen of Cowichan was built 1976, 312 capacity for cars, 20.5 knots. Exact same amenities on board, other than a few minor differences. They're all going to have a few minor differences considering they're different vessels. They all have the Coastal Cafe, passages, gift shop. We'll do a video on many of these ferries separately later on. I would like to thank everyone for watching this video. I know it's a little bit of a long one for the first video. This is supposed to be some news and updates, but I really want to do some, like a top 10 BC Ferries list. I did one of those in the past on a different channel, and I'm really looking forward to making this good. So, thank you everyone for watching. This has been BC Ferries Connect, and I hope you enjoy. Please subscribe, please leave a comment, please like, boost engagement. Cheers everyone, happy sailing, goodbye.